Hi everyone, now we are going to see why nanotechnology. If you see, many of my students question that why nanotechnology. Actually, I made this video for my biotechnology students who kept on asking me what is nanotechnology. In this video, you can learn about the primary part of nanotechnology. Nanoparticles. Nanoparticles or nanomaterials makes the foundation of nanoscience and nanotechnology. Nanomaterial research has attracted great number of scientists and the field has seen explosive growth over the years. See, so many scientists, so many scientists are going after these materials, and what are the promises they hold for the future? These scientists, that is the scientists dealing with the nanoparticles, what are the promises they are going to hold for the future? For seeing these things, we have to know the size of nanoparticles before. So nanomaterials are extremely small, at least in one dimension it should be. One dimension is nothing but all the three dimensions, that is width, length or height, should be within 100 nanometers. So to be classified as a nanomaterial, at least one dimension need to be less than 100 nanometers. A nanomaterial is 1 billionth of a meter or 1000 million times smaller than a meter. It's so small that it's 100,000 times smaller than the diameter of a human hair. Nanomaterials are a subject of great interest due to unique properties these materials show that I will explain in another video. So classification of nanomaterials. Nanomaterials are classified according to the length scale of its dimension. The definition states that at least one dimension of a nanomaterial should be in between 1 to 100 nanometer. Now imagine your hair. When you have the cross section of your hair, can you measure the diameter of a human hair by naked eye with the help of scale? Is it possible? No. So we need microscope to measure the diameter of hair. Now you can imagine how small the nanoparticle is. And now you can identification. You can come under identification. How will you identify these nanomaterials? So it can be done under 4 groups: 0D, 1D, 2D and 3D. 0D, all the 3 dimensions in nanoscale. 1D, 1 dimension in nanoscale and other 2 in macro scale. 2D, 2 dimensions in nanoscale and the other in the macro scale. 3D, no dimensions in nanoscale. So this is exactly what we are going to find out in this section. Already you know what is one dimension. It covers width, height and length. At least width, height, length should be between 1 to 100 nanometer for a particle to fall in the nanoparticle classification. So it is clearly explained in this slide. From this slide you can clearly understand the size of nanoparticles. The first picture, what does 10 nanometer mean? It explains the size of particles ranging from 100 nanometer to 1 nanometer. Now can you compare the size of Earth? For example, if you assume the size of Earth as 1 meter, then you think of a marble size, it would be 1 nanometer in size. So it's here for you. Now compare the tennis ball size with a molecule. For example, take water molecule. The number of atoms present in water is 3. 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Next, you see glucose molecule. Glucose has 6 carbon atoms, 12 hydrogen atoms and 6 oxygen atoms. Now you see the size of water molecule with 3 atoms is less than 0.1 nanometer, and glucose molecule with 24 atoms is 1 nanometer. And here iron particle with size 20 nanometer, virus with 100 nanometer, bacteria with 1000 nanometer and so on are explained as you see. So after knowing about the size of nanoparticles, you may get a doubt which departments need these tiny nanoparticles. Probably mechanical engineering students, civil engineering students, EC, electrical engineering and other department students may think, oh, this tiny nanoparticle, we are dealing with heavy buildings, heavy power machines, etc. Why we need these nanoparticles? But the fact is, nanotechnology is very essential in all the departments. It ranges from electrical and communication engineering, computer science and information technology, chemistry, physics, biology, medicine, material science and engineering, mechanical, civil engineering, etc. How you are able to get these nanoparticles? Now assume if you are having a bulk material with you, how can you get the nanoparticles from that bulk material? You can say break it, break it, break it, break it, break it until its size reduced to within on to 100 nanometer. That's possible, but many easy techniques are available. We can discuss it later. So, but in fact, we have many techniques, that is the particles to get it in a zero dimensional. So it explains here the particle size should be very, 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 very less than a bulk material. Now you will have a doubt whether these nanoparticles present in nature. The answer for this is yes, of course, yes. A great yes. In our day-to-day life, we are experiencing the nanoparticles. Here, although the subject of nanomaterials may seem futuristic, number of nanoparticles occur naturally in high abundance than most of us think. There are many nano-sized particles in fine sand and dust. Volcanic ash contains large amount of nanoparticles and even viruses assumed that are quite plentiful in our surrounding. These are classified as nanoparticles. There are also man-made nanoparticles which are made incidentally from certain situations like engine smoke, burning, factory smoke, etc. However, you see engineered nanoparticles deliberately synthesized by humans, usually with a specific objective in mind, holds a particular interest. And you can see two leaves. These leaves are water repelling leaves. Why these two leaves are water repelling leaves? Presence of nanoparticles within it. So you can see the power of nanoparticles. And here some natural nanoparticles and man-made nanoparticles. Natural, smoke, ash, virus, volcanic eruptions. You can see it as a natural nanomaterials. Man-made nanomaterials, ashes, smoke coming out of engine, burning of wood, etc. These are coming under man-made nanomaterials. And sources of these nanoparticles, where these nanoparticles are coming. So it can be classified into three types: natural nanoparticles, anthropogenic nanoparticles, metals and other dust. So what are the things coming under natural nanoparticles? Just stars, maybe terrestrial or extraterrestrial. Forest fires, volcanoes, ocean and water evaporation, microorganisms. When you come for anthropogenic nanoparticles, that is man-made one, diesel, that is diesel and engine means the smoke coming out, evaluate, that is a smoke coming out of diesel and petrol engines, cigarette smoke, building demolition, that is due to the demolition of buildings, cosmetics, other consumer products, indoor pollution, engineered nanoparticles. These engineered nanoparticles are in trend now. Metals and other dust: beryllium, lead and copper, asbestos, cadmium, aluminium, nickel, chromium, manganese, iron, silicon, organic dust, coal ash, polymer fumes, etc. are all coming under metal and other dust, which comprises a whole large nanoparticles. And properties: these nanoparticles have special and unique properties which make them use in special and contemporary applications. For example, surface of nanoparticles increase than in bulk material, and this possesses antimicrobial, that is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral properties, and rigidness, the hardness is very great, electron band gap, possessing high electric properties, magnetic properties, make the special applications of these nanoparticles in various fields. An application of nanotechnology. So you can now assume what are the things you can what are the areas you can apply these nanoparticles. As you assume, it can be it can be used in nanobio, that is biotechnology, biology in that field, metrology, sensors, electronics, materials. When you go for nanobio, you can see drug discovery, drug delivery, implantable devices, tissue engineering, diagnostics and mimicry. Mimicry means just we are going to mimicry the bulk material in a small material, that is nanoparticles material. Then in metrology you can see structure, composition, kinetics, quality control, forensics. Sensors, consumer, security, planetary services, environment, medical. And when you go for electronic applications, you can use it in quantum computing, photovoltaics, display, photonics, memory processors, energy, catalysis, automotive, construction, printing, and when you go for materials, you can see cosmetics, consumer, aerospace, defense, surface coatings, etc. So these are large applications of nanotechnology. And an important application which is left in the above slide is this, food packaging. Not only in food packaging, food industry, food science and food microbiology. You can use it in advanced food packaging, security, protection, that is preservative, development of innovative products, food processing, nano additives, cleaning and sensor detection of contaminants, improve protection of food crops. For all these things, these nanoparticles can be used. So you want to know the difference between incidental nanoparticles and engineered nanoparticles. The trend now is engineered nanoparticles. Why we are going to use engineered nanoparticles? What are the benefits? What are the advantages that you should know? Then only you can apply the engineered nanoparticles in your engineering technology. So these incidental nanoparticles may vary in size, shape, etc. different, and many of the components may be present, different elements. So that is incidental nanoparticle. When you go for engineered nanoparticle, so you are going to engineer. So automatically you will be the shape will be more well defined, and structure, size, shape, everything defined one. It has both shell material and core material, and also presence of organic coating. So this make use of engineered nanoparticles in a large extent. Its application is more, and hence this is attracting more scientists towards this field. Hope you all understand the basis of nanotechnology. Thank you. Thank you.